Hello, everybody. I am Chris,
And I'm Edison.
and this is Tanks and Thanks.
Let's and we're back.
We are back. So we're gonna obviously address a little bit of the elephant in the room. Okay, there's two elephants in the room that we need to address. Um, the first one, this is a Monday and not a Friday. If to those that were watching the last week, or I guess this would have been 2 weeks ago, technically, or a week and what is that? 10 days. So 10 days ago. Um, we are moving our podcast from Friday nights to Monday nights for a number of reasons, but mostly because Edison has an adult job now and he cannot be here on Friday nights because there's people who want to buy fish from him
And stuff.
and stuff like that. Yes. And then secondly, there's an even bigger gap here because you don't have anybody good to look at right now because Kyle is not here. Unfortunately, Monday nights don't work with Kyle's schedule. So, with all of that being said, whoever is available on Monday nights, and if you want to be a part of this and you want to help us, get the message out there and get the science going and get people involved, we are. I don't want to say we're doing auditions because that sounds like it's going to be painful. What would you say?
We're recruiting.
We're recruiting. Yes, there we go. We are recruiting someone to produce our podcast with us. So Kyle was doing it, and obviously he is dead now, so we cannot use him anymore. And I don't mean that he's dead literally. He's just dead to us because he couldn't move his schedule.
That jerk. Having an adult life and like
I'm waiting for Kyle now to just be the peanut gallery and just be like, "Yo, I heard you guys were talking."
just blast us.
Yeah, I know. We love you, Kyle. We miss you already. But anyway, if you are interested at all, you can find us on Reddit. You could also find Mr. Edison on Discord. And actually, if he wants to put up his Discord information in the description below, we would love to talk to you and figure out what kind of things you like. It's very low maintenance, but
we could also give them our email of tanksandscience@gmail.com. Send us an email. We can get to you that way and other fun ways.
Mind you, if you reach out to us an email, I'm gonna automatically assume you're 60, and it's just gonna be a little bit weird. So I'm
But it
okay with
might also
that,
be
but
easier.
it is easier. But
Or if
I'm
you're in
already.
Utah, you can just come see me at Petco,
Which store are you at?
the one in Sugar House.
Yeah, don't go to Sugar House.
Come buy fish from me. I don't know.
That's fine. Anyway, with all of those announcements out of the way, Edison, what have you been up to this week?
So, started at Petco. They made me the aquatics guy, which just got restructured to be I am the pet guy. So basically, all the pets that we have on the sales floor, I'm in charge of maintaining.
Sounds like you have a very busy job as a husbandry team member somewhere. So
I am
that's
the
great.
husbandry team member.
I know.
So basically, yeah. So today I was cleaning all the snake cages, and then we had a nasty infection of mites, which I'm hoping I didn't bring home on my pants. And
I have done that before at the aquarium. It is not fun.
no, it's not. And
No.
the snakes don't like it. I don't like it, and it's just not fun.
It might suck. To anybody that is from the world of aquariums and you have joined us to watch an aquarium type of show and have no recollection of what snakes are or mites or reptiles. Mites are parasitic on most snakes and they are very easily transmitted. And it sucks, but it's something that happens pretty often in all hobby kind of realms. So,
Yeah, they're basically ticks for snakes.
yep. And it sucks, but
A lot. But yeah, we took care of that, and yeah, I'm in the process of going to start a saltwater tank. Finally,
In which that will be what we talk about today, and it'll be
yeah,
great.
I have a. I don't know if you want to see the reason why now or later.
We'll show it after we do introductions real quick, and then after instead of doing the three questions, well, okay, instead of doing three questions that we pull from, the three questions are the kind of questions that I would ask someone who doesn't know anything about saltwater yet and needs to learn something a little bit about it. And so they're going to be basically directed to Edison, but we'll talk about them nonetheless. So for my week this week, it's no surprise to anybody who is watching this right now. I've been put in charge officially of social media at Idaho Falls Zoo, which is an AZA accredited institution, and it's been fantastic. I am given very minimal amount of time per week, which sucks, but with that time per week, I am able to do video edits, voiceovers, and do a number of different conservation messages for different animals that we have, which is super cool. Outside of that, I've been taking it upon myself to talk to as many people as humanly possible while at the zoo, and it's come with some really cool consequences. So, for instance, I've met other people who work at other zoos, and they're like, how do you know so much, or why are you talking so much to all of these people, which is super fun. um, but the biggest consequence is I have already talked to 22,000 people this season thus far, and we've only been open since April 17th, so a month. I have talked to 22,000 people in a month. Yeah,
Nice.
I'm very proud of myself, and I do have bragging rights because of that.
You
So
should.
I do.
I guess it's
But
one of those things. Do you enjoy your job?
absolutely do. And it's one of those weird things that I like. Obviously, talking to people about education and talking to them about conservation messages and endangered species is not one of the biggest subjects that people are like, oh, I'm going to go to the zoo and learn about. But I enjoy being able to tell people that, like, for instance, when you go to an AZA zoo, you're already making a difference because you're giving to a conservation fee of some sort when you go there. And so it's really great to me. I've also changed my schedule willingly. My bosses didn't tell me to do this, but after I did it, they were like, that's a really good idea. Maybe we should do that in the future. But willingly, I changed my schedule from Tuesday to Saturday so that way I can talk to everybody on Saturdays, because the education department basically prior to this clocked out and said, no, Saturdays are, that's not a 9 to 5 Monday through Wednesday job. That's a after the fact one. And so um, I took it upon myself, and the results are showing, and it's really great. So I do enjoy my job a lot. I enjoy being able to interact with the animals too. I got to pet a 120-year-old Adabra tortoise yesterday, and he loves neck scratchies. And he's a big chungus. His name is Omar, and he's 600 pounds. So just put that into perspective of how humongous this guy is. And I got to feed him a carrot too, which was highlight of the week. So
That's fun.
yeah,
Because my dad always says, and I feel like this is just conventional wisdom. If you love what you do for work, you never work a day in your life.
it's true. There are days that I is hard because of all the running around, but I have never yet gone there and been like, this sucks. My job sucks. So
My
anyway.
job was a little bit hard for a little bit just because I didn't know I was over all the animals, and they kept like trying to get me to be over all the animals, and I'm just confused, and I was like slacking because I was not
So
aware that was
they were
my
hinting at it, but they weren't actually like,
right. They
go
told
do this.
me you're the aquatics guy, and so I was like, okay, aquatics, I got you. And then they're like, why are the guinea pigs not taken care of? And I was like, I'm taking care of the guinea pigs.
Yeah, I
Or
could
there was an
understand that.
incident with the parakeets. That was fun.
What happened with your parakeets?
Well, it's a whole shebang, but long story short, some guys wanted a parakeet, and I just got handed a net and said, "Go for it." And I was like, "How do I catch a parakeet? Just use the net." And it turns out their wings weren't clipped.
Oh, so yeah, I could see where this is going. That sounds like fun. That sounds
Yeah,
like a really great. I hate to say it, but that sounds like a really great way to teach someone how not to catch a parakeet.
yeah. And then on the paperwork that the state of Utah makes you do, it required me to put the band number on there. So I had to hold down this little bird after I caught it, after it's had the wildest ride of its life, because I'm chasing it around the store, right? And I have to hold down this poor little bird and try and get the band number. And then, like, after I finish doing that, somebody comes up and they're like, "Yeah, so you don't actually need the band number." I'm like,
Why don't you need the band number? I would feel like Utah, of
because
all places,
on parakeets,
they'd
apparently
want
you
to be able
don't
to.
need the band number.
Okay, but like they would want to track it, right? If you had a
Yeah.
parakeet that was set free. Okay, fine, whatever.
So apparently I don't need that. And then I was like, that would have been nice to know like 5 minutes ago, after I like just stressed the crap out of this poor little bird.
Whoever trained you sounds a lot like me. I would literally do the most evil things ever so that way you see the exact way to do things
No,
and be like,
I just was handed a net and then they walked away. They're like, "Yep, catch the bird."
oh
It
yeah, see
was
that's difference. If I do something evil like that and tell you to do it, I would watch.
right. They didn't even want it. And then they're like, "Why'd you let the bird get away?" And I was like, "I've never caught a bird before." It
Holy moly. Well,
was
that's
it,
very exciting.
it was exciting. But
Yes.
now that I know the scope of my job, it's a whole lot better.
That's good. It's great. Um so questions. This week we are actually going to be delving into saltwater because Mr. Edison here loves saltwater now for some reason. And he would like to get a saltwater tank. And so, the first question I have is what kind of chemical summary are you looking for in saltwater tanks to make sure A that it's ready for fish, so it's cycled, and B, um, how do you ensure that it stays where it is?
Mm. So the way this is just me coming from freshwater. The way I look at it is that it's basically like you still look at your ammonia, your nitrite, nitrate. That's how you know it's cycled, but there's still a whole other element of like, and it depends on if you're trying to keep a reef tank or a fowler tank, right? Fish only with live rock, because I didn't know that. I'm still learning all the acronyms for everything. So if you're trying to keep a reef tank, you need to be keeping track of your phosphate, your calcium, your what were the other ones? Anyway, there's a couple more parameters to look at, but you can get that in the saltwater master kit, I believe, and that will help you keep on track with those. But the big one is salinity, because they need a certain amount of salty in the water to maintain homeostasis. And if they don't, they explode, in a sense.
Sure.
But yes, so it's basically fresh water with a few more parameters, and that's it.
That's a good way of putting it. Um, in order to keep them there, sometimes a lot of people, and I'm not going to name names, Petco, a lot of people stores will sell you things like calcium buffers or some sort of pH buffers. How important are those when it comes to just a fowler tank versus a reef tank?
So buffers, I'm always against adding random chemicals for no reason. You know what I mean? Buffers are just kind of random chemicals with some reason, but really you don't really they're not important as like a water change. If something's not
Mm,
right, change the water.
yeah. So, in a reef tank specifically, all of your calcium things that you do for any type of calcium dosing or magnesium dosing is probably the most important things in that tank. But for Fowler tanks, it doesn't really matter that much.
Right. Right. So I guess it depends on what you want to do with saltwater. Do you want to have the giant like 250-gallon setup, or do you just want like a nice little 20-gallon with your clownfish?
That's me. I'm the 20-gallon with clownfish guy. There is no way in Earth, especially after working for an aquarium where the running cost for a 250-gallon aquarium, or actually no, it was 500, was nearly $70,000 a year to keep it running and maintained.
Yeah.
Nope. Can't pay me enough. Um, okay, so we've gone over kind of the major chemical differences. Um, what about cost? What are the big cost differences? We just went over kind of a big part of that, but what are some of the cost differences that you need to look for when you start to look at doing a saltwater tank?
So the biggest one I can think of that's going to be the biggest recurring cost is the salt water itself. Um, you do a water change because you got to keep, because nitrates are actually quite more toxic in saltwater environments than they are in freshwater, because in freshwater they're hardly toxic at all. By the time you reach nitrate toxicity, it's going to be converted back into ammonia anyway. Um, whereas nitrate are toxic in saltwater just because of how that chemistry of that works. Um, anyway, so basically, you're gonna have to keep on top of those water changes.
Mm-hmm.
You need a protein skimmer for most tanks. I don't think you need one for a Fowler, but you do need one for a reef.
It depends on stocking, honestly. If you have something that's overstocked, then you will want a protein skimmer because it'll help out in some way, shape, or form. Um, the issue is when you're running on a low tech, or if you're trying to do anything without a protein skimmer, you're going to find more issues than not with a protein without a protein skimmer.
Which is probably why I'll just get a protein skimmer just to.
You can get a tiny one. They make
Yeah.
them. They make little hang on back protein skimmers. They work
Oh,
awesome.
way cool. So
That
I was
yeah,
thinking I was
or
just gonna get a hang on back because I was gonna try and keep it smaller, but
yeah,
not like.
yeah, I think they do make like these little. Hang on, let me see here.
But yeah, saltwater is going to be your biggest recurring cost, just because you're going to need RO water because you don't want to mix up the salinity with that. Uh, so, like doing your top offs for when it evaporates, you have to put RO water in there because it will throw off the chemical balance. Because the chemicals like calcium, sodium, things like that don't evaporate, whereas water does.
It's true. Okay, I'm pulling this up. Give me 1 second. Um, okay, so this one, it's actually on sale right now, so it's probably really that's probably a really good price for it.
Yeah.
But this is a miniature protein skimmer from Fluval, and it works just
Oh,
like a normal protein skimmer.
it just hangs on the back of your tank though.
Yep.
Oh, way cool.
Yep. And sorry everybody. Um and it's one of those things that it could mean the difference between you having to do more and more chemical tests versus not. One of the things that was really frustrating to me, especially when working in an aquarium, we had a quarantine tank with sharks in it. Okay, it was an above ground Costco swimming pool, and it was powered by 7 canister filters, and that was it. And a Costco above ground pool, first off, that's a little ghetto in the first place. But secondly, the biggest thing that I realized was just how wonky the chemistry was of that tank because of the lack of protein skimmers. It would literally have been 80 times cleaner if they had a protein skimmer. So,
Right. So from what I'm understanding, because I'm still a freshwater guy, so protein is just like protein.
yes.
Um, in saltwater, protein is one of your X components where it's like it's going to make or break your tank because it messes with the chemistry that hard.
Yes, and it also, let's just say it's an extra excess of protein. So in our tanks in freshwater world, right, if you had too much protein, it would spike up ammonia and you'd be able to see it. You'd be able to be like, okay, cool. In saltwater tanks, that still happens, but it doesn't happen very slow like in most freshwater tanks. When you have an excess of ammonia in saltwater tanks, it just spikes immediately, and then you can have a dead fish, right? Um,
Well, oh, because that makes sense because the pH is already so high.
yep, that's correct. So, but when push comes to shove, all protein skimmers do is take the dissolved proteins or the dissolved organic material out of the water column. It's actually kind of cool how they do it, but it's basically using science. Um, you have air bubbles going in a saltwater tank, and since the surface tension of saltwater is a lot stronger than the surface tension of freshwater, the bubbles don't go away immediately and they actually carry up this protein. And that's why protein skimmers capture all of the random crud because the organics are attracted to the surface level, those surface outer bubbles or the surface of
Oh,
the
so
bubbles.
basically it's just a bubble capture.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bubble capture in the sense that you're putting just air inside of the tank and they're not disappearing immediately because the surface tension of the bubbles and the bubbles themselves, it's a byproduct that protein sticks to them on their way up. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
but
So it's basically
it's
the ammonia problem in that protein. Oh, yeah, because protein breaks down into ammonia. That's
yep,
why we
and
have
that's
ammonia.
And that's the biggest problem when it comes to not having a protein skimmer, as well as because of it being based only on pretty much concentration, right? So if you had no ammonia or no protein in your water column, you wouldn't have dirty bubbles coming up, right? Or if you had some, you'd have some dirty bubbles coming up, or if you had a lot, you'd have a lot of dirty bubbles coming up. Um, because it's concentration based, you don't over filter your tank. You're not wasting any excess energy in trying to pull out protein out of your
Oh,
tank.
that's quite cool. So
Yeah.
it's like oh yeah, it's basically a just a passive thing.
Hmm. Yep.
Oh, that's dope.
Yep. It's one of those things that you can be like, yeah, I'm always adding protein into my tank and I know I'm never going to run out, but this at least makes it so I stabilize somehow too. So,
So that excess can be removed.
yes. Yeah, so one of the big things that came to mind was running cost, right? And are you planning on doing a Fowler or a reef?
um, a mix.
Okay.
I
Um,
don't care about corals, but I care about anemones.
yeah, so anemones, you're going to need at least the running cost of the lights that you're going to be using, right? Because you
Hmm.
need some form of anemone light or photosynthetic light for them. For Fowler tanks, it doesn't really matter for lights.
Just whatever lights you have laying around.
Another one that people don't think of is depending on what you have in your tank or what you're trying to do with your tank, there could be a cost of chilling your tank versus not chilling your tank,
I want
right?
tropical.
Yeah, so if you have tropical, you're not going to run into any issues. But I know many, many, many people who want to do jellyfish and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready to go." And then their jellyfish basically melts away because they don't keep it cold enough, right?
Yeah. No, I don't. I want to do tropical.
Okay.
You might be figuring out already what I'm trying to do.
Nemo tank.
Kind of.
That's a common one for a lot of people. Is a Nemo tank.
So basically, what I want. Here we go. Let me pull up the little picture. So I made a mistake. I fell in love, and this little maroon clownfish with this little tiny bubble tip anemone just makes me so happy. And that's basically what I want to do.
Yeah, I want one too. Well, okay, I am going to be getting a clownfish here pretty soon, but it's a hand-me-down. And
Yeah.
he's already given a name. It sucks. I can't name him something else, or else it just sound weird.
Yeah. Well, and yeah. So basically, I want this little gal with her an anemone. I don't really plan to pair them. Don't really plan to, I'm thinking like a 40 breeder, and then maybe throw in a couple other tropical fish just to kind of add some spice to the tank. But mostly that's the centerpiece is the little guy with his little gal with her uh, anemone.
I want one.
Yeah, she's like super protective of it, and it is the cutest thing. There's like a damselfish in there, domino, I think, damselfish. Somebody said it was, and damselfish are not known to be very peaceful, but she is a bully to this thing. She just like it gets too close to her anemone, and she just like freaks out, man.
Yeah, I'm worried about when I get mine. I The issue is I really like shrimp, and I already know. Okay, so this might be a little mean, especially for someone who works in conservation on a daily basis. I don't think it's that bad, but clownfish prefer live food, and I have live bears downstairs for a reason, and I have an abundance of them. And so I'm entirely certain that my live bearers are going to turn into clownfish food at some point. But
I mean, that's what the fate of a lot of guppies are.
yeah, it
Oscar's
sucks.
got to eat, man.
Why invest in a big fish like that? Like, I don't understand.
They're I've been told that they're like water puppies, basically. Like Oscars, they're just like super.
So are clownfish. Clownfish are better looking than them, and they are water puppies too.
They they need more salt. They're a lot more salty.
That was a bad joke. That
It
was a
was,
really bad
but
joke.
there's a lot more operating costs with a clownfish involved than there is with an Oscar involved. Although
Yeah, that's true.
you can get away with a smaller tank with a clownfish.
I also would like to take this opportunity because I just saw my tank and I'm looking at it right now. My bulbs have not bloomed yet, sir, and you owe me a refund.
Take them back. If you use the phone number, they'll give you the refund.
It's crappy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the heck those bulbs are, man.
I used to have a huge, like, they started putting up lily pads, huge of them. And then when I changed my substrate from sand to the volcanic stuff that I use from Caribbean Sea,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, nope, we're not growing in here. And I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah. But I have a plan to like get this saltwater tank set up really easily, because it turns out I have access to a lot of wastewater from a established system.
hmm. Working at you know, working at a place like that, I wouldn't assume that you would have access to a lot of wastewater from an established.
Right. So basically, when I do a water change, I can just pull it out and put it in my tank, because it's a very stable environment. It's very I've measured the parameters on that. I know what's going on in there. And so it's like I know that, and I know that saltwater doesn't move very fast at my location. So it's like those are very established fish.
Yeah, that's true.
Like we have this moray eel. If I had a bigger tank, I would love to just
Oh,
like
I love eels so much. There
this
is
little
no way I could ever do it, but
this little salt. He's a snowflake moray, yeah, and he lives under this rock in this big reef tank thing kind of going. It's a fowler, but it's got a bunch of reef individuals. So it doesn't have like a nem or corals, but it's got live rock, and he likes to live under the live rock, and he'll eat out of your hand.
yeah, I love eels. I was bitten by one though,
Oh,
and
really?
I still don't. I don't know. It's hard because whether I'm debating in my head, and it's just like the same thing with all the birds too that I used to work with, whether it was the owners that raised them that was the factor behind that, or if it was just species aggression. And 9 times out of 10, I and guarantee you it's just the owners because they haven't had the consistency that they require.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and this
but
this this moray, he's super chill. Like he doesn't even bother the other fish. Doesn't even try. He just knows he's gonna get fed.
yeah, we had a cat shark in the shark tank at the aquarium that used to like come and like get pets for me whenever I was with him in the water. So I totally get it.
Yeah, he knows when I'm feeding everybody else, and he knows he's gonna get fed. So he'll like stick his head out of the rock, and he'll be like,
Um,
"My turn. Where's where?
my
Where's
turn.
my
Food.
where's my silver
Give me
side?"
food. Yeah, we so at work we have gray gibbons and Lars-handed gibbons, and they swap every day to who gets outside access and who gets inside access. So whoever's inside for that day gets fed first, right? Because they have to pull them through versus they pull them in, put them in a cage, and then they let the other ones into the room that they were in, and then put them in a separate cage. So that way they get fed in two separate cages. But the gray gibbons, I did not know this until Saturday. Very temperamental when they hear someone else getting food before.
Oh, lovely.
They start throwing things. They start putting on a show, which is really funny. But like a show just is them yelling at each other consistently and swinging as fast as humanly possible to other branches.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and then they don't stop yelling until the door opens to get them their food, which is pretty great. So, but
Yeah.
anywho,
No, and then yeah, so I basically just want to set up a little I guess a modified fowler.
so you just want to do a clownfish tank, basically. That's what it
Yeah, a
is.
clownfish and maybe a couple other like a little wrasse or maybe a goby or two.
I was gonna so for mine, when I do it, mine's gonna be a saltwater cube and it's gonna be 10 gallons. And I'm thinking the way it's gonna work out, and this is just me thinking, I am going to have the um clownfish and I will have plenty of hiding holes and I'll have a bubble tip anemone somewhere. And I will have a few Dalmatian mollies because they can do saltwater fairly well. So,
There you
and
go.
they're still dirt cheap comparably to other saltwater fish.
Yeah, there you go. I think it would also be fun to get maybe like a couple shrimp in there.
Your shrimp would disappear like in a
Okay.
second.
Like
That clownfish, it doesn't matter the temperament, they will be tempted and it will happen.
because we had a coral banded shrimp in there for a long time. Somebody just bought him.
Okay, so big shrimp, okay.
Yeah, that's
Tiny
what I was
shrimp,
thinking.
not okay. Especially cleaner shrimp, no way, no,
No, yeah, none of those sexy dancer shrimp or something like
nope.
that. You know what I mean? But I think it would be fun to get like a coral banded, maybe like a pencil urchin or something in there.
Urchins are okay. Urchins are really good for clownfish tanks. Um, I
Just
would
kind of have.
not. I wouldn't recommend putting it in a small tank because you have to clean it, and I have been stabbed by a pencil tip urchin, not a pencil, a bubble urchin, and it's not a fun experience. If
Yeah,
you've, it's an anemic poison, and I was puking for the next 6 hours. So
lovely. Yeah, so
yeah,
I don't. That's why I want a pencil tip, not a
yeah, I know. If you do a pencil tip or
pencil
a
urchin.
non,
I can't remember.
yeah, so they're pencil urchins or spiny urchins is the ones that we had at the aquarium that I got stabbed by. But yeah, bubble tip are okay. Chocolate chip starfish would be awesome in there too.
Yeah, so basically, I just want to have like maybe like 2, 3 fish, one of them being my maroon clown, and then just have like an army of cleaner inverts.
What about doing a the general starfish is like my favorite starfish ever by far
Oh, yeah, there's
because
a
it's
lot of
so
it is
pretty.
availability for me too. It's like I know I can get a chocolate chip. I know I can get a bunch of like hermit crab, like
I
those little
guarantee you
jerks.
you can order a general starfish, but you'd have to order it through your supplier.
Oh yeah, and then get the employee discount on it.
What is it? What's your employee discount?
I think it's 20% off of pretty much anything in the store, and then if you get like supplies and other things from the store brands, and then it's 40% off.
Yeah, so this is the guy.
Ooh, that would be fun.
And he is so striking, and I absolutely love him so much.
Max size 1 foot.
Yeah, that's gonna be a problem for
Yeah,
you. But
because like I say,
odds are you're never gonna get it to 1 foot.
wow, thanks for the vote of confidence.
Well, no, you're not gonna kill it. It's just like you have to let it live for such a long time in order to get it to its maximum size. Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
I got you. Yeah, I mostly just want to have like focus the focal point wherever the nem ends up. The anemone with the clownfish, maybe like a wrasse
Mhm.
or like a couple cleaner gobies, just like some smaller colorful fish, just to kind of add some life to the tank, and then just have an army of cleaner inverts or something.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Especially now, since you work at a place you can just get inverts by the bucket full for cheap. So,
Yeah,
but
and then yeah, something to kind of help turn over the substrate, so I
yeah,
don't have to
so
go too crazy vacuuming it.
yeah, I agree with that. There was some tanks though that I would take care of, and there would be no turning over whatsoever, even though we put things in there to turn over substrate. So, for instance, like we would put in the ray tank, we would put live clams. We fed live clams, and we overabundantly stocked it so that way some of the live clams would live and turn over substrate. And every time without fail that I would go into that tank to gravel vac, it would be disgusting and gross, and it'd be like they were doing nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty excited because that means it working where I work, I can actually get a tank set up and matured quickly.
Yeah, that's true. And not to mention, you are going to be able to. Okay, why can't I see the whole thing? Sorry, I'm looking at different. Apparently, we have someone watching us right now, and I am sorry. We are so bad at this,
Oh,
even
it's
though this
me.
is
I'm
like
looking at the
episode.
live chat.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know you were.
No, it's okay. I was just looking at it right now. Um, but I think for me, one of the dream setups I have is doing a giant reef tank with like galaxids and different types of frags, but it's one of those things that, especially now where I don't know where my career is going to take me in the sense of like what zoo am I going to go to? What am I going to be doing? Um, I'd much rather have something small and easy to kind of part
Move
with.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that a lot. Um,
Yeah.
Also, if Rick ever watches this, I hope he does. My shrimplets are here, which is super cute. Yeah, they are tiny and they are mighty,
Mighty tiny.
mighty tiny shrimplets.
Tiny, mighty, mighty tiny. I don't know.
Yes, they're super energetic.
Oh, I saw this picture once of like a Riley shrimp or something, and there was like a baby shrimplet on top of it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, one of the best videos I ever got is I have my rabbit snail in here, and I had a shrimp riding on the rabbit snail. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Well, I think that's it for today's show. I wish I would have made a better outline. I am sorry that I didn't. Um, but again, we're looking for someone else to join us so that way it's better than just the two of us. Because trust me, just the two of us is like okay, but like three people, sweet spot. Beautiful. Edison, anything else that you'd like to add to this episode before we close?
Saltwater's not as hard as I thought it was. Saltwater's saltwater's just a little bit more expensive. That's it.
Yeah. It makes it so your mistakes are a lot more costly. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah, so I would totally recommend starting with your beta fish or whatever, and then once you get that down, then move on to salt. Don't start with salt.
If you do get someone to come in and clean it continually for you, please.
Or just be a masochist. I don't know.
Okay. I mean,
A rich masochist. I don't know.
I'm not going to judge. Who would have thought? You know. Oh man, I have to get video of these shrimplets soon,
Oh,
so
you
that way
should.
you can see them.
We
They're
should
super cute.
throw them in another intro or something.
Yes. All
Yeah,
right. Well, this has been Tanks and Thanks. I am Chris,
I'm Edison.
and thanks for watching today, guys. We'll see you next week.